All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me the truth and rule well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. To you I say shalom. This is the brother Yeshaya coming at you again through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, back again with another lesson. This one's going to be entitled Shlomo Kramer says it's time to limit the First Amendment. Okay, and this is something this guy said that you see on the screen. His name is Shlomo Kramer. You know, he's a J or a tiny top, 1948er, right? But something that he made mention, in this interview, uh, which I'm gonna let it play. You know, brothers have heard this, but I figured I'd throw in my 2 cents on this. So I'm gonna let it play, and then we'll get some precepts. So let's go ahead.
To the
Joining us here at Post 9, founder and CEO of Cato Network, Shlomo Kramer, also one of the founders of Checkpoint, another big cyber company. Shlomo, it's great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How is AI, cyber warfare, shaping geopolitics right now?
So AI is going to revolutionize cyber warfare, is revolutionizing cyber warfare from critical infrastructure to the fabric of society and politics and undermining it, giving unfair advantage to authoritarian governments against democratic countries. First Amendment type of...
That's already happening?
That's already happening. You're seeing the polarization in countries that allow for the First Amendment and protect it, which is great. And I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it. And quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. We need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online and take control over what they are saying based on that ranking.
The government.
The government should
control the social media.
Should do that. And we need to educate people against lies, and government need to develop cyber defense programs that are as sophisticated as the cyber attack. Today it's a 1 to 100 ratio. And really government are not doing this today at any rate, and enterprises are left fending for themselves.
The technology is moving much faster than the political.
So that's pretty much it. You have it. You heard it there. This guy's talking about, limiting free speech, removing, certain rights that the American people have, but this guy, you gotta understand, this guy's from over there in the land of Israel. What's this guy talking about, you know, talking about limiting free speech and, limiting some rights over here in America? That just goes to show you how Donald Trump has sold out the American people, or the America unto the hand of these small hats. Now, we understand this is where it's going. We're going to see a how do you say it? Totalitarianism, where these technocrats, these small hats, these top bankers, all these, top elites are going to be in charge, where everything's going to be digitized, digital top, how you say it? Digitized, where everything is going to be monitorized, everybody's going to be connected to the internet of things, and through that, people are going to be able to, these people are going to be able to control and monitor, everything. They're going to monitor what you say, what you do, where you go, what you buy, what I'm saying, who you hang out with, who you talk to, you know, what you're talking about, but also uh, control what you're able to have access to, the internet, what I'm saying, and where you go and what you browse, what I'm saying. Everything's going to be tracked and traced. So what this man is saying is, it is time to limit the First Amendment. And why is that? Because a lot of, exposure is coming out, a lot of rebuke, especially coming from um, the prophets, the men of the Lord, A lot of rebuke is coming out on him, and a lot of exposure, which is something that this man is seeing. Talking about Esau Edom, and at the end, he's trying to implement his excuse me, he's trying to implement his NWO, right, his New World Order, but he's seeing that he's coming into a position of difficulty because now um, there's a lot of what you'll call voices of dissent. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are coming up against him. You have the American public coming up against him. You have uh, uh, these other countries coming up against him. And this started off first with the men of the Lord, right, proclaiming his downfall. Showing through the scriptures that this man is the wicked that the Bible speaks of, right? So let's go ahead and get this. This is Amos 5 and verse 10. It says, "They hate him that rebuketh in the gate." You see, and where's this rebuke coming from? It's coming by the way of the prophets, right? Ultimately, this is all the voice of the Most High speaking out against him, right? Because the scriptures talk about in Hebrews. Let me get it real quick. Hebrews 1 and verse 1. It says, "The Most High, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in times past unto the fathers by the prophets." You see, so the Most High always, before anything happens, he would always wake up a man of his people to go out there and prophesy. You know, that's also in Amos. Let me see if I can get it real quick. Uh, Bear with me. So this is Amos 3 and 7. It says, "Surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealed his secret unto his servants the prophets." You see? So before the Most High does anything or he does any work, he reveals things. He reveals what he's about to do unto his prophets, right? And one of the major things is this mystery, right? The mystery of who the wicked are, the mystery of the end of the world, the mystery of the MOTB. A lot of these secrets are being revealed now in the last days and being made evident of of what these things are, right? But one of the major things is the fact that this man is being rebuked for what? For being an unwise ruler, for being wicked, for the agenda that he has in store for America and for the rest of the world, right? Which is going to be a dystopian type of society, right? Like I said, you're going to have to get the MOTB, in order to partake in this society. You're going to have to bend the knee, to this new digital system, you know, which is going to be a form of worship through that um, MOTB, right? Because in order to get down, that means you're going to have to uh, uh, conform yourself to his image. You're going to have to conform yourself to his mindset, you know, to where if anybody who has any opposing views or any disagreements is going to be pretty much exiled, from society, right? Pretty much you're going to be off grid. You ain't going to be able to operate within, the society that he has prepared. But anyway, let me see. Let's get from here. As a matter of fact, let me read this back. Amos 5. I didn't read it all. Amos 5 and verse 10. "They hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly." Right? Because everything that we're saying is not wrong. What we're coming with is not hate. What we're coming with is not evil. We're just speaking the scriptures. We're just speaking the word. But it hurts them, right? And the fact that we're telling the truth, is a major threat unto this man's system because he has built it upon lies. Everything that this man has set up and established here on earth has been contrary to the scriptures, contrary to the truth, You know what I'm saying? So now that his lies is being dismantled, we're seeing that this man has nowhere to hide now, and he's being seen as being for being the liar and the deceiver and the devil that he is. You see, so he's gonna have to come down with that great wrath, which is gonna start by removing the truth from off the earth, removing voices of dissent, removing any opposing views, any rebuke, anything that goes against what he has in store, right? So, like he said, it is time to limit the First Amendment, right? Pretty much, they're going to just take it out of the way. If like I said, if you don't agree with their agendas, with what they got in store, your ass is going to be, uh, 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 um, either shadow banned, erased, or you know what I'm saying. Soon they're gonna start persecuting those people that do have these type of views, right? But anyway, let me get in. Let me get real quick. Let's get Isaiah 13 and verse 2. It says, "Lift it." As a matter of fact, I'll start at 1. It says, "The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see." Right, and this thing is a burden. You know what I'm saying? And we're seeing that this truth is the fact that we're exposing this man and proclaiming his fall and how he's gonna fall. We're seeing that it's becoming more and more of a burden to him because more people are starting to wake up and see that what we're saying is actually true. You know what I'm saying? And this is really something that America, which is Babylon, has in store. Um, Talking about these different plagues and its destruction, right? But along with that is going to be the what you call the how would you call it? I guess you could say the first the symptoms, of these plagues hitting it. Saying is going to be by the form of limiting rights, limiting free speech, limiting uh, um, um, the mirth of this land, and then we see the Most High doing that, you know, through different plagues that the Most High is hitting this place with, right? But anyway, continuing on in verse 2, it says, "Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt a voice unto them, shake their hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles." So it says, "Lift ye up the banner upon the high mountain," right? Because this truth is symbolic, or us being out there on the corners, being out there prophesying this truth, is us symbolically lifting up the banner. A banner is a symbol of a battle. When you're in a battle, you have those bannermen. And if you see those banners still up, you know that the battle is still going on. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be a morale boost. You know what I'm saying? Well, if you see the flags are down, you know, people start to lose that morale. You know what I'm saying? But we're here to let you know that this battle, which is a spiritual battle, is here. You know what I'm saying? Because the scriptures talk about in Ezekiel 37. Um, as a matter of fact, let me get it. Ezekiel 37 in verse 11. It says, "Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, Our bones are dried, and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts." Let me read this in the NLT. It says, "Then he said to me, Son of man, these bones represent the people of Israel. They are saying, We have become old, dry bones. All hope is gone. Our nation is finished." Right? And that's how Jake was for a time. You so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. Y'all were in a position where y'all didn't know who y'all came from. Y'all all y'all knew was just slavery. So coming out of that, you didn't understand the fact that y'all were kings on the planet Earth beforehand, right? The so-called white man did a good job at erasing history, reprogramming y'all's minds to be a nigga, be a spick, be a so-called Native American, which and then he added different types of characteristics and culture to your society to make you believe that, you know, that that's how y'all live, that's how a Hispanic, a so-called black, a so-called Native American needs to behave and act and think, right? So when it comes to having hope, when it comes to, receiving salvation, that was far from our people's mind, even though our people sought for that. They always had the mindset of trying to, you know, escape this place and saw the problems that were going on, based off the so-called white man, being at power. You saw that during the revolution, the civil rights movements and all that stuff, right? But the point being is that with us coming back to remembrance of who we are as a nation, that has brought hope back, because now we know who we truly are and the fate of the world. But anyway, going back to Isaiah 13:2, it says, "Lift ye up a banner upon a high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles." And we understand that this word has reached the gates of the nobles, talking about your presidents, talking about your governors, your mayors, even your top elite, your Rothschilds, your Rockefellers. They understand, man. Right? You had Donald Trump call us what, multiple times and multiple occasions. He called us the prophets of doom, right? A prophet of doom is, or who? The prophets of the Lord. Prophets of the Lord, right? In what is it? Jeremiah. I forgot the actual verse. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Jeremiah 28:8. It says, "The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old, both against prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilences." See, so the old prophets and the new prophets, you know, we're all prophesying the same thing: war, evil, pestilences. You see, the Most High always sends forth his prophets to proclaim this doom before it actually happens. To give warning to who? Unto his people, for them to repent, for them to get right. Those who don't, they're going to fall into that category of destruction. Now, and again, this is the reason why Esau wants to put a block or put a cap on his truth, because he understands that with us waking up, his power is pretty much null and void, right? He might have power still on the earth, but at the end of the day, he has no control over these men, ultimately what we call the elect, right? Now let me get this Isaiah, because we're talking about um, the restriction of free speech, right? This is Isaiah 29. Excuse me. Isaiah 29 and verse 21. It says, uh, start at 20. It says, "For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught." Right? So it says that make a man an offender for a word. You see? Because that's what he's doing. By you saying certain things. This is the reason why we got to call them tiny tops, 1948ers, all these different words. Because if we use, you know, their modern terminology, their terminology, all they got to do is run it through the algorithm, their AI uh, uh, scanning device or programs, whatever the hell it's called, and they can just easily, know what we're talking about and just clip our videos. You know what I'm saying? Or just take down the channel altogether. But soon it's going to get to that point to where, if you're talking about the scriptures, they're just going to take your channel down, and eventually they're going to start criminalizing it to the like you like over there in excuse me, like over there in Canada. They're talking about criminalizing certain passages of the scriptures because it pushes hate speech, right? And the same thing with these small hats talking about this anti-Shem thing, right? Everything always has to be anti-Shem, right? If you are criticizing, their methods, if you're opposed to their viewpoints, they call all that hate speech, anti-Shem, right? You talk about their past, you talk about, how they had a hand in slavery, you talk about the wicked deeds that they done. That's facts, that's written, right? These are historical records, but these motherfuckers will deem that anti-Shem. You see, and like he said, now it's time to limit the First Amendment. What is he saying? He's saying that this thing is coming quicker than you think, man. America's free speech is over with, and they'll be doing it gradually, but soon we're gonna start seeing, how they're gonna start persecuting, those that speak truth, those that speak, with opposing viewpoints, how they're gonna start cracking down on these people, right? Now, let's go to Amos 8 and verse 11. It says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord." You see, that famine is coming, man. Like we've always been telling y'all, you know, uh, uh, seek the Lord while he may be found, call upon him while he's near, right? The Most High is near right now. The Most High has his men out there prophesying, right? Making these videos to warn and edify uh, um, the house of Israel, right? But soon these flowing waters, this table that's being prepared in front of you, it ain't gonna be there no longer, man. Esau's gonna flip the table, saying cut off the water to where nobody's gonna be able to have access to this truth. Only those that have attained it before it was time, that were nourished up and brought up before this man brought in the famine. Only those are gonna remain. You see? Let me read this. It says, verse 12, "And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it." You see, no one's gonna be able to go out to the highways and byways and find us standing on the corner preaching. No one's gonna be able to go on YouTube and find our videos no more, right? But it says verse 13, "In that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst." Right? That people are gonna be, asking for truth, man. People gonna be inquiring. People gonna be, damn near, at the brink of putting themselves in danger, in harm's way, just to figure out some type of answer, some type of truth. What does the Lord got to say about this? Right? Now, I'm gonna close it off with this. It's in the Apocrypha. Excuse me. I'm a little bit under the weather, man. Over here coughing. Salakia. I hope it doesn't affect the video. But this is Second Ezra 16 and verse 68. It says, it says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols." Right? Because ultimately, like I said, with this whole um, um, opposing viewpoints that Esau feels like he has to put a cap on, which ultimately is his truth, right? This is the main thing, that he's really wanting to attack. Yeah, he's against all these other people, talking about him and exposing him. But some of these people, they're just controlled opposition. Like Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, all these different guys, right? but really they're just a Trojan horse, put in place in order to, what I'm saying, to bring in, those draconian measures, those laws, them, to making a man an offender for a word, right? But anyway, let me read this back. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle." Right? Meaning they might take some of us into concentration camps, and then they'll tell us, that our point of view is wrong, and then they'll try to put us in these what you call them, re-education camps. Trying to re-educate you, let you know, oh, you're not a Hebrew Israelite, you're a black man, you're a Hispanic man, right? And they're doing that even now with having these 1,000 Christian pastors go over there to Israel, to help represent Israel, right? That's what you call damn, I can't remember the term. I can't remember the term, but I know it's like that's gonna help them pretty much push that that idealism of or that ideal of protecting these small hats, to get the Christian population to side with them, you know, like if they're the people of the Lord or whatever, you know what I mean? But anyway, it says, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols. Right, like I said, going into that the re-education programs. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna try to make you take some courses to force you to believe in their nonsense and their bullshit, to teach you lies, right? Anyway, continuing on, it says, "And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot." Right. So pretty much, don't consent to it, man. You see, because unto us, to us, what I'm saying, the scriptures talk about. Let me get that real quick. Talking about those who do not bend the knee. I don't know if I spelled knee right. Hold on, bear with me. I know it was in Romans. Yeah, right here. Romans 11, um, and verse 4. It says, "But what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so, then, at this present time also, there is a remnant according to the election of grace." You see? So back then, it talks about 7,000, those 7,000 men, which 7,000 just goes into a complete number, right? But even in this present time, there's an election, right? There's a remnant according to the election of grace. You see, there are certain men here in this time who is not going to bend the knee, you know, to the image of the beast. That's not going to take the micro seed hip, that's not going to consent to these things, offered unto idols. You know what I'm saying? But that's pretty much the point, you know. The free speech, is over with, man. That persecution is soon to come, you know. That famine of the word, man, is fastly approaching. So as I said earlier, seek the Lord while he may be found, man. Don't wait, don't procrastinate. Don't let things get to the point of to where you damn near getting carted off into the whatever concentration camp, FEMA camp or whatever, to try to repent, man, because it might be too late, right? You don't want to put yourself in that position. You see. But anyway, I pray the lesson was edifying. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Racha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Until the next time, I'm going to say Shalom, Kwam Yasha Allah.